Well, welcome everybody to our chat about our new coach, and this will be, I think, a really fun chat today. As always, I want to express our appreciation for everyone joining us on this Friday, and for any Fridays that you've joined in the past. We really thank you for taking an hour out of your day, especially as the weather has gotten nicer, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. And we're excited to be, I think this is chat number 8 in our series. And it's we're talking about a whole new part of our program today. So it's pretty exciting. It's kind of part of our soft rollout of the new coach, and we'll have a lot more to say about it in the future. We mentioned it a couple of newsletters ago. So today, you'll have a few speakers. I'm Will Forrester, and I lead marketing communications. Kurt Andino will be speaking in just a few minutes, our executive director. And then we'll have Eric, our programs manager in Africa, talking towards the end of the presentation. And then I didn't have a picture for him, but hopefully Warren Mwenda from Zambia, Monze, Zambia, will be chatting at the very end of the conversation. And I have a 2-year-old in the background, so apologies for any, yes, 1 second, for anything that may be popping up there. So I appreciate everybody's patience. Usually at the start of these chats, I talk about, I recite the mission and vision. And we've done that each chat. We've decided to test out some new things. The wonderful thing about these chats is it's a great small environment for us to share new information and to test new information, and these kinds of things are just ideas that we've been thinking about and playing around with, and probably aren't final, but it's an opportunity for us to share stuff and get your feedback and hear from our supporters and constituents and folks in the field about how they think about things. So rather than talk about the mission and vision today, I wanted to talk, just very quickly, list kind of who we are. We are experts in village scale technologies. Of course, you probably know us by biosand water filters, but more and more frequently we have brick making as part of our projects, and we have a series of other technologies that we use. We build knowledge and resilience in the communities with whom we partner. We mobilize community engagement. That's an entire process of partnership and engagement with our partners. We embrace the dignity, strengths, and rights of all living beings. That's particularly important because those 3 things, dignity, strength, and rights, those are the things that are often the most overlooked in the communities with whom we partner. And we, as always, stand with the most vulnerable, be it marginalized or disadvantaged, or folks who are often invisible in their communities. So today we'll be talking about the coach, and I'm going to be handing it off here to Kurt. If I think, are you unmuted, Kurt?
I think I am.
Fantastic. And I can just go through these slides if you want to tell me how to proceed.
Yeah. Well, first, I hope everybody's okay after that crash, whatever that was. Second, great to see everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is really, I think, a nice break, not only for you, hopefully, but for us as well, because we're all in our own houses and we probably don't get to see 20 or 30 people at a time unless we're standing in line with 150 people outside of Home Depot. So thank you so much for being able to join us today. As Will was saying, we are always examining and testing and looking at new and better ways to do things. And the coach is an expression of that process. Came into fruition over the course of a year based upon our history and our understanding of how things had been working, and knowledge of what our needs were to be more effective moving into the future. So it's very apropos that the first word here is opportunity, because that's exactly what we see this position as representing. I'm sure you can read the blurbs that are down there. about frequent communication. But the whole point of it is, when I look at this through a longitudinal perspective, I've been running nonprofits for 20 years, and I've learned a number of things, hopefully. And the first is that every success that a nonprofit achieves is dependent upon everyone in the activity team. There's no single component that is responsible. The second thing is that organizations need to be organized. And this means reporting, follow through, follow up, review, support, encouragement, mentoring, advising, direction. I mean, just keep going. But you need to have those things to be an organization, because an organization needs to be organized. And then the third thing is, there's only one way that can be accomplished, and that's through consistent all-level communication. There's just no excuse not to have it. Quality information is the lifeblood of any effective organization. And for us, and for other groups like us, it's especially important when we're operating at a 10,000-mile distance from our partners. And to think about that, and this isn't exactly accurate, but if the International Space Station is right above you, it's 220 miles away. Monze is 10,000 miles away. So the coach helps us complete that circuit. And that's really important, because for us, each new project training is like a startup or a baby. It's a baby startup. It needs almost constant attention to become what we hope it will become, which is an asset to the community. For our training projects to become community-based programs. Starts off as a project from the community through the coach to us, and then back through the coach to the community. I guess next slide, Will. Thanks. Let's just go to the strategy. I think everybody can see this is pretty much what I said. That's our objective. And the way we achieve this is by creating the coach. This communication platform, it doesn't just serve a purpose of being able to talk back and forth. It's necessary because we're striving to be adaptive with best practices, and our best practices guide continuous improvement. If you're going to be able to respond rapidly, and you're going to be wanting to continually improve, and you want to be constantly honing what you're doing, the speed of that transmission going back and forth makes the process smoother, better, and you have a better outcome when you're done. And that's really, we say number 3 here, that that this position of coach is a cornerstone of our post-training program. And yeah, that truer words couldn't be spoken. Post-training is such an overlooked, and this is not just for people who are working in East Africa or in India. It's everywhere. It's every business that struggles. It's every nonprofit organization that has challenges making a difference. It all goes to follow-up. So our post-training programming is as much a part of our program now as our actual training. And we're hoping that over the next few years, we will demonstrate the importance of this. So then we go to the role of, and this is, there's five things here, and there's a number of other rationales too for having this individual. But for anybody here who's listening, who's ever hired anybody, you simply would not onboard somebody who doesn't meet these criteria. The communities that we both serve and partner with don't, they deserve nothing less. In fact, they deserve something more, which is why you look at number 2, that we hire this person in consultation with the community partner. So this is not something where we are telling anybody how they're going to do it. We are asking how they would like to do it, why we think it's important, why we think their input's important. And then the community, the on-the-ground NGO and our programs manager, Eric Lajodi, meet and they discuss who they think are going to be the best candidates. The last line is act in the utmost ethical and professional manner, demonstrating honesty, integrity, and competency. And this is something that Eric had specifically asked that we add. And I think that is born of the realization of how far away by distance we are from each other and what we ultimately depend upon to be successful. And people can be engaged and people can be thoughtful and people can be willing, but the notion of being ethical, professional, and having this integrity is so important to us and something that we're very proud to be focused on. Next slide, Will. So we actually use a professional services contract. The person is paid by Friendly Water. However, the partner NGO on the ground, in this case in Monze, is the Zambia Women and Girls Foundation. And this is so important to us because not only do we not have an on-the-ground presence there, so we're dependent upon another party, but it strengthens our tie to not just the training program, not just the coach, but to the NGO that has been so gracious to be willing to work with us. The contract, as we note here, it varies because one might be coaching for 2 technologies, say brick making and biosand filters, and another might be for 4 or 5 technologies. So there might be the filters, the brick making, the perma gardens, the rocket stove, and the liquid soap. And each one has different challenges. So we leave it very flexible. And the flexibility is not only ours, but it's also the on-the-ground NGO who is sponsoring this person with us. So feedback from them as well. So we don't talk just to Warren, but we also have conversations with Charles Dinda, who is the executive director of the Zambia Women and Girls Foundation. And then we also have conversations with Deanna Owen, who is the chairperson of the organization that sponsors the Zambia Women and Girls Foundation. So we have multiple layers of partners that start adding up. And when you start adding these things up, it actually brings everything together and it makes everything smaller. And that's very important to us. And then as we know, finally, this contract can go for a minimum of 3 months. We don't really have an expectation of ever doing it for 3 months, but we have that written in. But we really see 6 months as being standard on the low side. A year to us makes a lot of sense. And if we go back to, say, Monze and we do 3 more technologies, then we would want to add that capacity to the coach as well. So this could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Okay, our approach. As I've been saying here, measuring is everything to us. Raw output data gives us early indicators of adoption. or challenges to adoption, and this lets us problem solve in close to real time. If we can solve a problem that comes to us from 10,000 miles away in 72 or 96 hours, that's fantastic. So how the community receives or adopts the technology is perhaps our most important measure, because if no one is using it, we've encountered what they call the Segway fallacy. And Segway is this transportation tool that was designed here about 15 years ago, like a scooter that people could ride around on, and it doesn't fall over, and it was supposed to be the next best thing, but nobody bought it. So if you have a great product but no market, do you really have a great product? And that moves us into assessing. So we get to use the data that we get as comparative trackers to not only what's going on there, say Monze, but also in other programs. So we're not just saying, how does Monze compare to Monze, but we can say, how does Monze compare to stuff that we are doing in Raranya or in Goma or in Gandhigram or elsewhere. And this gives us, this lets us assess benchmarks in the broad sense, not just in the individual project program sense. So it gives us the knowledge that we need to be making continuous improvements. So on the ground telemetry is not only vital to individual program success, but really to the lifespan or the likelihood of Friendly Water continuing to use that particular technology. Share. Well, we practice egalitarianism, and that's part of our foundation. And the only way we can do this effectively is to hear from our partners frequently. Open, regular communication helps us to keep the scales balanced when it comes to decision-making and self-determination. We want everything with us to be a two-way street or a three-way street or a four-way street, sharing information with Friends of Monze, which is Zambia Women's and Girls Foundation, with Warren, our coach, and back to us, and then with the people that we partner with over here. Truly, the more minds you have working on a problem, the faster it's solved. And then encouragement. This is perhaps my favorite part of Friendly Water for the World, is that this is really just a recapitulation of our organizational philosophy. We don't tell, we ask. We don't decide, we include. We don't blame, we encourage. And we don't do this to satisfy our own egos. We do this to lift up the world to a vision of shared appreciation and mutual respect.
So this is the part, Eric, that you were going to speak to. Eric, can you hear us?
Myself.
We have you now. We can hear you.
Yes. I was saying thank you, Kat, for those opening remarks about the coach that you just established for Friendly Water for the World. For those who are joining us for the first time for this show, my name is Eric Lungaoli Jodi. I come from the Western region of Kenya and currently serving as the programs manager for Friendly Water for the World. We are discussing briefly on the coach, and we'll be looking at the key practices that are involved when we hire this particular coach. We are talking about one of the key practices is whenever we identify a coach who will be serving as on the programs of Friendly Water for the World, one of the things we expect from this particular coach is to have bi-weekly protection site visits, whereby for all the programs that we are doing, if it is the interlocking blocks, the rainwater catchments, the biosand water filters, at least the coach we are having, we make an arrangement whereby this particular coach can have a weekly or a bi-weekly protection site visit. Then number two, also, when we talk about the biosand water filters, we are talking the issues of installation, the maintenance, how the users are making use of it. So this particular coach is actually entitled to visit bi-weekly installation site visit for where we are doing our programs. The coach has also to track benchmarks and alignment to goals established during the community engagement. Whenever we are coming up with a program, as Kata said earlier, we are involving the community. So you'll find that there are community engagements that we usually discuss. So it is the responsibility of this particular coach to track the benchmarks that we have set and align them to the goals established when we are doing this particular engagement. Lastly, on key practices, the coach has to assess use of the technologies and equipment fitness. So you'll find that when we'll be assessing the usage of the technologies and equipment fitness, we'll look at what equipments we are having. How are they functioning? Are they in good order? Are the people who are trained using the technology in the right manner? So it's a practice that this coach will be doing and giving us a report back. Then we are looking also at the actions. On the next slide. We are looking at, Will, can you give me the next slide, please?
This is the next slide, the key deliverables.
I can't see it on my screen. I think it's...
Oh, you may have some lag.
Yeah. The next slide is on key deliverables. Yeah. We are talking about also key deliverables. We are looking at protection of post-training epidemiological surveys. As you're aware, before we do any particular training, we carry out the epi surveys. And then after the training, we have also to receive these epi surveys from through the coach. So the coach will also carry out the post-training epi surveys, which in then submit to us, which enables us to assess how the programs we are doing are actually going on. The coach is also mandated to send us photos on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. The photos is actually evidence to show to us that that indeed the work is going on. So the coach has to send us the photos on a weekly or bi-weekly basis so that we're informed on how the programs are going on. He's also supposed to send us a weekly or a bi-weekly update depending on what we've agreed in the contract agreement, because in the contract agreement we may agree for a weekly or a bi-weekly update, which is supposed to do without fail, so that we keep track of the work that this particular coach is doing. Lastly, on the key deliverables, the coach is also supposed to communicate to us any concerns where necessary. They may be concerns not necessarily from the coach himself, but these are concerns from the people whom he's working with, concerns from those who have trained, concerns from the community, which he can address to us so that we can look at them and maybe look for a way out on how to handle those concerns, where we need to improve. We improve at that particular time after getting that clear communication from the coach. Then we get to the sign-up process. As you're aware, there's a way we work out before we engage in a particular coach. Kat said initially that before we engage in a particular coach, we always make sure that this is somebody who has attended a full training of the training we have. As you're aware, maybe you can have a training and then we have somebody coming in for 1 day or 2 days and then they disappear. Such a people cannot serve as coach. A coach should be somebody who has attended the training we have, all the trainings that have been there, because this is somebody who needs to be very aware and very sure of what we are doing. He should understand the concept of all the projects that we are doing. So we engaged our first coach in Monze, Zambia, and this was in the month of April this year. And it was after the training that we had in Monze that was completed in February. But we are able to engage our first coach in April from 27th, and he goes by the name of Warren Hastings Mwenda. As I've said, Warren was identified during the training. One thing that I want to be clear about how we identify this particular coach. We don't go into training and announce to those who are attending in any training that by the end of this training, we'll be looking for a coach. Because if we make that announcement, then everybody will be struggling to become a coach. What we do, we look at how they're doing the work, and we assess each individual performance, and then we are able to identify somebody who can become a coach for any particular group. The current coach with Warren Hastings Mwenda has depicted effective leadership virtues and values during the training. A coach should be somebody who has those values. He should have leadership values. He should show that he can lead the others and give the others direction on what we intend or what we aspire to achieve as an organization. We drafted the first agreement with the coach with consultation with the organization that he's working with. And in this case, Warren Hastings Mwenda works also with the Zambia Friends, Zambia Women and Girls Foundation, and also with an input from our key staff from Friendly Water for the World. So this is not something that somebody does single-handedly. It involves several parties, whereby the community is working in, is fully involved. Me as the programs manager, I'm also involved in identifying this particular person. And then lastly, we consult also with the key staff of Friendly Water for the World before identifying this particular person. Warren, upon signing, the agreement has proven to be a team player. And this is also one quality of somebody who is supposed to be a coach. There should be a team player, should be somebody who is ready to work with others, should be somebody who mingles with others freely. So Warren has proved to be a team player in this case. He mingles with others very well. He works with the other team members very well. And he has proved also to be an essential tool to his organization, with his Zambia Women and Girls Foundation. They are utilizing him in other areas, so he's a very essential tool to the organization he's working with. And to the community, when I was assessing Warren, he has proven to be an asset to the community also. The community uses him in several ways, and is the right person that we identify to serve as coach for our programs in Monze. Lastly, I want to look at the management, because once you identify somebody who is doing work on your behalf, there should be management processes involved in it. And in this case, the coach is accountable to the programs manager, who makes sure that he is fully engaged and motivated. And through this, I've scheduled weekly meetings with the coach so that he keeps on updating me on the work that he's doing. These meetings may be once or twice in a week, depending on the nature of the work that he's doing. If it may require that I talk to him oftenly. I make sure that I have these meetings with him as often as possible so that we keep track of the work we are doing in whatever region that we are working in. On our site, as an organization, we have made sure that we have provided this particular coach with a smartphone. And the reason as well why you've given him the smartphone is to make sure that he communicates to us. Communication is very, very ideal for any particular organization. Without communication, without proper communication, then nothing happens. So we are saying that we have given him a smartphone which enables him to communicate to us regularly. And also, as an organization, we know that our programs are not located in one area. That's spread. Like in Zambia, the training we did is spread in 4 locations. So this coach will be traveling to these particular locations. And as an organization, we made sure that we are able to meet his travel needs to enable him to reach in the areas that we are doing our programs. It's important to note that when we get results that are promising, tangible results that are promising from our programs, then new venues for more work to keep the coach fully engaged will come up. When our work is seen, when people see what we are doing and we approve what we are doing, then it opens ways for us to be engaged with other organizations, and this actually keeps the coach fully engaged. Lastly, on the management, coaching is a process and not a one-time evaluation. That is why if you look at our engagement, we are saying it should be a minimum of 3 months. So it works for that particular period so that it keeps on being in touch with these groups, encouraging them on the work that we are doing so that we keep on moving on. So we're excited as an organization to have Warren Mwenda with us, who is our first coach, and he has proven to be hardworking and is giving us some good results from Zambia. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. I hopefully, assuming the connection's still working, wanted to take an opportunity now to introduce Warren to the group. Warren, can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to introduce yourself and your background and well, where you are for a start, where you're located.
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, I would like to register my gratitude to the coach to be invited to this very important and big meeting. My names are Warren Hastings Mwenda. As Eric earlier said, I reside in Monze, which is in southern part of Zambia. I'm one of those who underwent this training at one of our schools, Malimba, where people from 4 locations were invited. This training included rainwater catchment, sand filters, and the interlocking, rock making. And we had participants from Malimba, Kaumba, Kampunu, and Sichianda. Now, let me tell this meeting that I'm the happiest to inform you that just after the meeting, I was contacted to go and construct 2 water catchment tanks with the capacity of 20,000, and that was in Kazungula by another non-government organization which is called the Environment Africa. Work went very well there, and they are so happy comparing the feedback that we are getting. Right now, they are using those tanks safely and happily. Before I was trained, let me say professionally, I'm a teacher, though I don't intend to, I've got less intentions right now to be full-time in employment, looking at the activities that I have to do. So I think looking at what already I'm doing, already I think I'm a community teacher because I'm able to teach the communities in many areas. From the time I was trained, even the block making exercise, right now, my NGO is building 1 new school in one of the remote areas, and the over 60,000 blocks are already ready. They are already made. We even have plans from here to work on the biosand water filters. We want to start making them. We had some bit of a challenge because from the just after the training, that is when we had this news of the corona thing, and the meeting people from that time, it was a challenge. It is just now when different measures are put in place so that people can be meeting, but in small groups. Otherwise, this is what I can share. If there are any questions where you need further explanation, I'm available. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Warren.
Welcome. Please.
So
Thank you, Warren. This is Kathleen O'Shaughnessy. I've been a board member with Friendly Water since, well, for some years I've been involved with it. And I was in Uganda a year and a half ago. And it's wonderful to see the work that you and Eric are doing, this whole notion of coaches and the getting the establishment of the water filters supported by the whole community, not just by kind of a subgroup. That's our key to success, I think. And so I'm very happy to hear directly from you and from Eric about the work that you're doing and the success. And I'm very happy for Wayne and Kurt and Will, their support at this end, and constant kind of monitoring and being in touch with you. That gives me more hope, and it kind of increases my determination to be to stay involved with Friendly Water, because I think it's improving almost weekly in terms of the way it's responding to the training sites, and that's very good news. So thank you. I appreciate that work.
Welcome.
Warren, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with us how your community is coping with the coronavirus, if there is an issue with that there, and if it's affected people directly yet.
Actually, I think our region, Southern Province, there is not a single case which is already recorded. I think we are so fortunate. I don't know whether it's because of the our weather, which is very hot, because some people say it doesn't like the hot climate or the hot weather. So maybe that's how we are saved a little bit. But we still have some cases that dotted in other provinces, but not southern province. So we are just taking precautions so that we prevent it from reaching our region.
Warren, David Albert here. I'm the board chair. Thank you so much. I want you to know that this week we discovered, for me it was a discovery, it wasn't a discovery for the people there, a Quaker meeting of 15 members in Mazabuka and an ongoing NGO there. And at some point we'll be sending you information about them. They have quite an interesting program. A question I had for you is, because I don't know Zambian culture at all, really. You're a man. Will you find difficulties going into people's houses when most of the people we work with are women?
No, our culture allows that. When you go there, sometimes you are already known, or if you are not known, you introduce yourself, and it's not a problem for someone to get into your house as long as they know that you don't have any evil mind.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe just to add on the question that David is just asking, I think when David was asking, this was actually basing on one of our key projects, which is the biosand water filters. And in Africa, it's true, when you mention anything to do with water, specifically drinking and even water to use in the homes, then you are talking about the women. But as an organization, you realize that we've come up with other projects that actually need men to come in. Like when you mention about the interlocking blocks, mostly you find that people are working on this are men, because this is a machine that requires quite some energy. And also when you mention about the rainwater catchments, you'll find that the key people, the masons that mostly work on these ones are men. So it's interrelated. The areas whereby you'll find that it involves the women, and another section also the men. So it's correlated in some way.
Okay, Eric, you should know we have trained women masons.
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for either Kurt or Eric or Warren or myself about the coach, or about how they're being implemented or future plans?
Warren, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Wayne, and we email back and forth. It's nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's nice to meet you. Yeah.
Deanna in Wales, did you want to say anything about how you're expecting the coach program to help with the work that we have been collaborating with you on?
I saw somebody like Clemens raising the hand. Did you see it, Will?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Clemens. Yeah.
Clemens, let me, hang on, I have to unmute you.
Yeah, just unmute him.
I'm trying to unmute you, Clemens. You have to unmute on your side as well.
Okay. Actually, my question, Will, was almost exactly what you were about to ask, and that was, I wanted to know what the relationship was between the work Warren is doing and the work Deanna is supporting.
Deanna in Wales, would you like to speak to that?
Friends of Monze works together with Zambia Women and Girls Foundation, which is the organization which Warren works for. So we work together all the time. You know, we're in very frequent communication and consultation about what we're doing. So any projects are planned jointly. I am very pleased to see you've appointed Warren as the coach. If you'd asked me who I recommended, I would have said Warren. So I'm really pleased. You certainly have the right man there. And I'm sure he's going to work well with the Friendly Water projects. Warren might not have told you, but he's recently qualified as a permaculture gardening instructor with Friends of Monze as well. So to be working with permaculture gardening. Yeah, I've known Warren since 2012, and he always comes forward with ideas and innovations, and as a natural leader. So really the things that Friendly Water are doing are dovetailing in with the things that we're doing. Warren was mentioning the school. We're building a 3-classroom school in a remote area and 2 teachers' houses. And I'm really excited that the Department of Education Buildings Officer in Monze has agreed that the Friendly Water bricks are suitable to use for building a school. And the community are underway making those bricks. I can see from photos that women are making the bricks and carrying the bricks, by the way. I would mention that this is quite a remote location. So if Warren is traveling there, you know, it's 2.5 hours, I think, by car out in the bush. You know, it's not easy to go twice a week to be going out to these locations, particularly in the time of coronavirus. As I say, although there's not coronavirus recognized.
It's actually indicating bi-weekly, maybe after every 2 weeks is when you can visit this size, not weekly. Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the team? Or any comments or anything anybody wants to share? Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Warren, especially for staying up to attend our chat and to introduce yourself. I think everyone's really thrilled to meet you and wishes you the best of luck, and the greatest support will be headed your way. And we look forward to a long relationship, and it's really exciting. It's a great new element of our program, and it's great that it's based in people, which is the most important part of the work we do. So on that note, I want to say thanks to everybody for attending today. David, did you have any last comments that you would like to share? You'll have to unmute yourself. Nope, still muted. There you go.
There we go. So just to say that we're keeping on, keeping on. I've attended more Zoom calls in a week than I had in the last 10 years. We're sort of getting used to it. My scan around the world, you know, shows many people struggling. I tell people You know, I'm at home in a comfy chair. I'm warm. I have access to Facebook, and you know, I have nothing to complain about. You know, I've been watching floods in Bengal, and we have had a potential program there totally flooded out. The entire village is destroyed, and watching serious situations in so many other places. But we continue working. We're all working from home. We are trying to raise funds in a very difficult time. We're aware of that. And if any of you have any leads, it's great to have them, because, you know, we got to keep you. We already cut our budget by 46% for the year. And I'm working hard to see that we can meet that. And any help you can be, talk to me, let me know. We can Zoom, even if you like. So thank you all so much for being part of us.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Stay safe.